My dear sisters, daughters of grace and daughters of thunder, hear me when I speak to you today. The world will tell you many things about your worth. It will whisper through glossy pages and shining screens. It will hum in the mouths of strangers and echo in the voices of those who do not yet know your spirit. But I came to tell you, your value is not a number, not a shape, not a sound that trembles in the throat of someone else's opinion. Your value was written in the first breath you took. It was carved into your bones by the Almighty, placed in your smile, wrapped around your heart, and stitched in your courage. There are women who have forgotten their worth because they were told to forget it. They were told to hush their power, to dim their light, to soften the truth. They were told that silence was elegance and obedience was love. But a high-value woman does not shrink to fit in the narrow vision of others. She stretches wide, like the morning sun, daring the sky to make room for her brilliance. To become a woman of high value, you must first become a woman who knows herself. And to know yourself, you must sit quietly with your own soul. You must ask it questions that make you tremble. Who am I when no one is looking? What do I believe when the world falls silent? What am I willing to stand for even if I stand alone? Because a woman who knows her own answers will never be confused by the noise of others. The world cannot price a woman who knows herself. She is beyond bargaining, beyond imitation. Her power is not borrowed, it is born within. And when she walks with purpose. Not because she wishes to impress, but because every step is an echo of her truth. Now listen closely, my sisters, because life will not always be kind. There will be days when the rain falls harder on you than on others. There will be nights when loneliness stretches long across your chest. There will be times when people will mistake your strength for arrogance, your softness for weakness, your forgiveness for foolishness. But a high-value woman does not bend under misunderstanding. She smiles not because life is easy, but because she has learned that her peace is her power. You see, peace is not something you beg for, peace is something you build. And a high-value woman builds it brick by brick, with self-respect, self-discipline, and self-love. She learns to say no without anger, to say yes without fear, to walk away without regret, and to stay when her heart knows it must. She is not perfect, but she is present. She does not chase validation because she has already validated herself. She does not compare her journey to another woman's path because she knows every woman's story has its own sky to climb. A high-value woman knows that true beauty has little to do with what the eyes can see. It lives in the kindness of her tone, the patience in her silence, and the honesty in her laughter. Her beauty is not her hair, her shape, her clothes. Her beauty is her wisdom, her grace under fire, her faith when the light fades. Oh, I have seen such women. Women who stand tall after being bent by storms. Women who forgive the very hands that tried to break them. Women who rise again and again until the world must admit she cannot be kept down. Such women are not loud, but their presence is thunder. They do not demand attention, attention bows to them. To become this kind of woman, you must cultivate dignity. Dignity is your crown. Never remove it, not even for love, not even for pity, not even for fear. When you hold your dignity, you teach the world how to treat you. You teach others that you are not a passing fancy, not a toy, not a convenience. You are a temple of wisdom and light, and whoever comes to you must come with clean hands and honest intent. There will be people who try to measure you by what you give them, what you do for them, what they can take from you. But a high-value woman knows she is not a giver of fragments, she is a fountain of wholeness. She pours from abundance, not from emptiness. She gives because she chooses to, not because she must. And when she gives, her giving blesses her. She does not beg for attention. Her presence commands it. She does not compete for affection. Her worth earns it. She does not cry for validation. Her spirit radiates it. The world will try to rush you, to make you believe that your clock is ticking faster than your purpose. But a woman of value moves in divine timing. She is not late, she is not early, she is right on time. Every heartbreak was her teacher. Every delay was her preparation. Every failure was her sacred invitation to become wiser, softer, stronger. A high-value woman learns to forgive herself for not knowing sooner, for loving too much, for trusting too quickly. She does not stay buried in regret. She learns, she heals, she evolves. And when she looks back, she does not see shame, she sees growth. My dear sisters, the world will often test you through love. And love, when it is right, will lift you. But when it is wrong, it will drain you dry. A woman of high value never loses herself in the name of love. She knows that love without respect is illusion. Love without trust is torment, and love without growth is prison. She seeks love that mirrors her soul, not her wounds. And when she must walk away, she does so with grace. She does not curse the road that hurt her. She thanks it for showing her where she does not belong. For a woman of high value does not beg for a seat at any table. She builds her own, and she invites peace to sit beside her. In her friendships, she chooses depth over drama. She surrounds herself with those who clap for her, even when they are not on the stage. She is not jealous of another woman's light, because she knows light shared is light multiplied. She uplifts, she encourages, she celebrates. For a high-value woman understands that sisterhood is not competition, it is communion. A high-value woman also understands discipline. She honors her word. She keeps her promises, not because anyone is watching, but because her integrity is her reflection. She knows that respect is not demanded, it is demonstrated. And every day, she wakes with the quiet mission to be a little better, a little wiser, a little truer than she was yesterday. She guards her mind against bitterness and her heart against arrogance. She prays when the world would rather complain. She listens when others shout. She stands when others crumble. And through it all, she keeps her eyes lifted to the horizon of hope. A high-value woman does not need to announce her worth. Her energy speaks for her. It moves before she enters the room. It whispers in the air she leaves behind. It says, "Here stands a woman who knows who she is." She can love deeply and still have boundaries. She can forgive and still protect her peace. She can nurture others and still honor herself. She can serve without being enslaved. She can shine without dimming others. A woman of high value understands that her body is sacred, her time is precious, and her energy is divine. She does not give these things cheaply. She invests them wisely, like a gardener planting seeds of purpose. And because of that, everything she touches grows. Her home, her friendships, her career, her dreams. She is not afraid of solitude, for she knows that solitude is where her power is sharpened. She uses her quiet moments to refuel her spirit, to speak with her Creator, to remind herself of who she is beyond titles and labels. She is not lonely, she is grounded. There is something magnetic about such a woman. You can feel her before she speaks. You can sense her calm, her conviction, her confidence. She is not hurried, not desperate, not restless. She moves like water, strong yet gentle, flowing yet unyielding. And when she falls, because every woman will fall, she rises with elegance. She does not stay down. She dusts off her knees, lifts her chin, and says, "I am not done yet." That is her magic. The world can bruise her, but never break her. To become such a woman, you must feed your soul daily. Read words that lift you. Speak affirmations that strengthen you. Keep company that honors you. Choose joy even in small doses. For joy is not a destination, it is a decision. Do not allow bitterness to rot the garden of your heart. Do not carry resentment like a shield. It will only weigh you down. Forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. A high-value woman knows when to fight and when to be still. She knows that silence can be power, and distance can be wisdom. She knows that not every battle deserves her presence, not every argument deserves her breath. She saves her energy for things that build her kingdom, her peace, her purpose, her future. And let me tell you something, my sisters. Your value is not found in how much you are liked, but in how deeply you are respected. The world will try to sell you popularity, but what you need is purpose. Purpose will hold you when applause fades. Purpose will guide you when the road twists. Purpose will heal you when life cuts deep. When you find that purpose, hold it tight. Let it be the compass of your days. And as you walk in it, you will discover that your worth multiplies, not in coins or compliments, but in legacy. A high-value woman leaves trails of light wherever she goes. People remember her not just for her beauty, but for how she made them feel. Her words soothe, her presence steadies, her laughter heals. She walks away, and yet she remains. In the heart she's touched, in the dreams she's inspired. She lives with gratitude. She wakes up thankful for her breath, for her lessons, for her strength. She knows that nothing, not even pain, is wasted when it teaches her how to rise. And yes, she cries sometimes. She cries in the quiet when no one can see. But her tears are not weakness, they are cleansing. She lets them fall, then she wipes them, lifts her face to the sky, and smiles. Because she knows the rain only comes to grow her garden. My beloved sisters, a high-value woman is not made in a day. She is forged through fire, through heartbreak, through waiting, through faith. She is refined by every test she passes and even by those she fails. She is not born knowing her power. She becomes her power. And when she finally stands in it, unshaken, unbothered, unstoppable, the world takes notice. Not because she shouted, but because she became. So, rise today. Rise in dignity. Rise in purpose. Rise in love. Do not chase validation. Chase your growth. Do not seek to be desired. Seek to be divine. Do not aim to be noticed. Aim to be remembered for your light. The world may not always clap for you, but heaven already has. You were made to be radiant, to be rare, to be royal in your own right. Walk as though the ground remembers your strength. Speak as though the air carries your truth. Love as though your heart was carved by angels. And when people ask, what does it mean to be a high-value woman? You will smile, not because you have to explain, but because you have become the answer. To protect your peace as the most sacred form of power is to understand that not everything deserves access to your energy. Not every voice deserves to echo inside your mind. And not every storm deserves to shake your calm. Peace is not found, it is created, built, and guarded like a holy space within your spirit. A woman who has learned the value of her peace becomes selective with her time, intentional with her words, and careful with her heart. She no longer allows chaos to sit comfortably at her table. She has learned that her peace is her strength, her shield, her silent weapon in a world that often feeds on noise. Protecting your peace means learning to say no even when your voice trembles, to walk away from what disturbs your spirit, to release the need to explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. It is a daily discipline, a spiritual practice of choosing calm over conflict, grace over reaction, faith over fear. When a woman decides that her peace matters more than pleasing others, she steps into her true power. She begins to see that not every battle needs to be fought, not every opinion needs a reply, not every injustice requires her presence. She learns that her silence can speak louder than anger, and her absence can make more sense than her argument. Protecting your peace means knowing the difference between being kind and being used, between being understanding and being drained, between helping others and harming yourself. It means acknowledging that sometimes the greatest act of love you can give to the world is to keep your soul intact. A peaceful woman is not weak, she is wise. She knows that rage may burn brightly, but peace endures. She knows that calm is not the absence of struggle, but the mastery of self within it. When the world tries to pull her into drama, she rises above it like smoke from sacred fire, untouched, untangled, unmoved. She keeps her composure not because she does not feel, but because she refuses to be controlled by feelings that do not serve her growth. She breathes before she speaks. She pauses before she reacts. She listens before she judges. In doing so, she reclaims her control, the kind of control that cannot be taken by insult, by rejection, by chaos. To protect your peace is to value yourself enough to let go of what disturbs your spirit. It is to know that you deserve calm mornings and gentle nights. It is to understand that peace is not found in a place or a person, but within the heart that refuses to surrender to turmoil. A woman who protects her peace has learned to forgive not for others, but for herself, because holding on to bitterness poisons her own soul. She has learned that healing does not require permission, that rest is not laziness, and that stillness is a form of strength. She becomes like water, flowing, clear, reflective, impossible to grasp but always powerful in motion. To walk with dignity that does not beg for recognition is to understand that true worth does not shout. It simply shines. Dignity is a quiet power, the invisible crown that cannot be removed by gossip, rejection, or betrayal. It is the calm presence that enters a room and changes its air without saying a word. A woman who walks with dignity knows that she does not have to prove herself to anyone, for her actions, her character, and her grace already speak on her behalf. Dignity is not arrogance, it is self-respect dressed in silence. It is the refusal to lower your standards to match the world's noise. It is the art of carrying yourself with grace, even when no one is watching. It is the decision to remain kind in the face of cruelty, poised in the presence of disrespect, and gentle even when provoked to be harsh. When a woman chooses dignity, she chooses herself. She understands that validation fades, attention drifts, but dignity endures. She does not beg to be understood, for she knows that those meant to see her will recognize her without performance. She moves through life knowing that her energy is her introduction, that her presence tells her story long before her mouth opens. Dignity teaches her to be still when the world demands a reaction, to smile when others seek to break her peace, to rise when they expect her to fall. It reminds her that silence can be louder than argument, that walking away can be stronger than staying to prove a point. To walk with dignity is to be anchored in your own truth. It is to know who you are, what you stand for, and what you will no longer tolerate. It is to carry yourself as though you are already whole, because you are. It is to never trade your integrity for temporary comfort, to never sacrifice your values for validation. A woman of dignity knows that she cannot control how others treat her, but she can always control how she responds. She does not let bitterness rewrite her character, nor pain harden her softness. Her dignity becomes her shield, her quiet armor that glows even in darkness. She learns that dignity is not something you demand, it is something you embody. It is the posture of a woman who has cried without letting the world see her tears, who has been hurt but still chooses compassion, who has been overlooked but never loses faith in her worth. She wears her dignity in how she speaks, how she walks, how she leaves situations that no longer honor her. When she loves without losing herself. When she forgives, she does it without forgetting her boundaries. When she dreams without apology. Dignity is not about pride, it is about purpose. It is about walking tall even when no one claps, about holding your head high not out of ego, but out of respect for the woman you have become. To love without losing yourself and forgive without forgetting your worth is to master the balance between heart and wisdom. It is to understand that love was never meant to strip you of your identity, but to strengthen it, to add peace and not take it away. A woman who loves deeply yet remains whole has learned that love is not measured by how much she gives away, but by how much she keeps of herself while giving. She knows that her softness is not weakness, that her compassion does not mean surrender. She understands that to love is a gift, but to remain grounded within that love is power. Love is meant to expand your world, not consume your soul. To love without losing yourself means knowing that your happiness is not dependent on another person's consistency, that your peace does not belong to anyone but you. When a woman truly values herself, her love becomes clear, calm, and strong. She gives from abundance, not from emptiness. She no longer chases those who cannot meet her halfway, because she understands that real love does not demand her to shrink. She learns that love without respect is hollow, that affection without effort is temporary, and that promises without action are illusions. To love without losing yourself is to stay connected to your truth, even when emotions rise, to remember your boundaries even when your heart is full. It is to understand that saying no does not make you cold and walking away does not make you cruel. Forgiveness is its own form of power. To forgive without forgetting your worth means you release the poison of resentment without reopening the wound. It means you choose peace, not denial. You understand that forgiveness is not a door for others to walk back in, but a window through which you let the pain out. It is the quiet decision to stop carrying what was never yours to bear. When a woman forgives, she does it for her freedom, not for their comfort. But even in her mercy, she does not forget the lesson. She does not return to the same hurt dressed in new apologies. Her forgiveness is full of grace, but her memory is lined with wisdom. A woman who can love and forgive in balance becomes unbreakable. She knows that she can care deeply without being controlled, that she can give generously without losing her voice, that she can let go without bitterness. Her heart remains open, but her spirit stays guarded by discernment. She does not confuse attachment with love, nor endurance with loyalty. She has learned that love is not meant to cage her wings, but to help her soar higher. To love without losing yourself is to remain centered in your identity, while your heart extends outward. To forgive without forgetting your worth is to keep your spirit pure while your mind stays wise. Such a woman becomes both soft and strong, tender yet unshakable. Loving but never lost to choose growth over approval and purpose over popularity is to live with the courage to disappoint those who misunderstand your becoming. It is to know that your path will not always be celebrated, that the evolution of your spirit will confuse the ones who preferred your smaller self. A woman who chooses growth does not chase applause, she chases alignment. She wakes up each day asking not who will approve of her choices, but whether her choices honor her truth. Growth is not glamorous, it is messy, uncomfortable, and often lonely. But within that discomfort lies the sacred work of transformation. It is the shedding of old habits, the release of old fears, the quiet rebuilding of a stronger foundation. When a woman commits to growth, she understands that approval is fleeting but progress is eternal. She stops performing for the comfort of others and starts creating for the peace of her soul. To live with purpose rather than popularity is to walk a road that may not always be crowded, but is always meaningful. It means that you are no longer driven by how many eyes are watching, but by the reason your heart is beating. Purpose calls you to rise before the world wakes, to stay steady when others waver, to follow your calling even when no one claps. It is not about being liked. It is about being useful, being impactful, being true. A woman with purpose does not measure her worth by attention, but by intention. She knows that popularity can fade in a whisper, but purpose leaves footprints that outlast her name. Choosing growth over approval requires strength, because approval is addictive. It feels good to be liked, to be validated, to be seen. But a woman of depth learns that constant validation is a trap that keeps her small. She understands that growth sometimes means walking away from familiar places, from people who do not wish to see her evolve. She accepts that some doors must close for new ones to open, that some relationships lose their meaning when she begins to value her peace over performance. She learns to be at peace with being misunderstood, to be content with not explaining her every step. Her vision becomes her guide, not the crowd's applause. When she chooses purpose over popularity, she begins to live differently. Her words carry weight because they come from conviction, not from the need to impress. Her actions become intentional. Her circle becomes smaller, her focus sharper. She invests in her growth as a gardener tends to her plants, patiently, consistently, lovingly. She waters her dreams even when they are still seeds, knowing that what is rooted in purpose cannot die from neglect. And while others chase spotlight and validation, she chases depth, integrity, and divine direction. She does not crave to be everywhere. She desires to be exactly where she is meant to be. She learns that real success is not in being seen by many, but in being true to one's soul. To rise again and again until your spirit becomes your legacy is to live with a fire that refuses to be extinguished by failure, by heartbreak, or by time. It is to understand that strength is not in never falling, but in the grace of standing up each time you do. A woman who keeps rising transforms her pain into purpose, her wounds into wisdom, her tears into testimony. She learns that life will knock her down not because she is weak, but because she is being shaped for something greater. Every setback becomes a lesson, every disappointment a divine redirection, every ending a quiet beginning in disguise. To rise again is to declare to the world that you will not be defined by what happened to you, but by how you responded to it. It is to understand that resilience is not hardness, but endurance mixed with faith, gentleness clothed in power. Each rise teaches her something new about herself. She discovers courage she didn't know she had, patience she thought was gone, hope that refuses to die. She begins to trust her ability to rebuild, to recreate, to begin again even after loss. Her story becomes living proof that strength does not roar. Sometimes it whispers through persistence. When she rises after being broken, her spirit grows in depth and compassion. She no longer fears the fall because she knows she carries within her the ability to get up. Every scar becomes a symbol of survival, every bruise a reminder of her becoming. She learns to look back at her pain not with bitterness, but with gratitude, for it made her more grounded, more aware, more alive. To rise again and again is to refuse to surrender to despair. It is to keep faith when everything around you says give up. It is to believe that even in darkness, light is preparing its return. A woman who keeps rising walks with quiet confidence because she has already faced storms that tried to destroy her. She knows her own strength not as a theory, but as a lived truth. She has walked through fire and come out shining, not because she was untouched, but because she was transformed. She carries within her a light that no failure can dim, a strength that no rejection can erase. And as she continues to rise, her story becomes her legacy. Others look at her and see possibility. They see endurance wrapped in elegance, resilience draped in grace. Her spirit becomes a lighthouse for those still lost in the waves. She doesn't need to speak of her power. Her life speaks for her. She becomes an example that rising is not a single act but a way of living. Each morning she chooses to rise, not because life is easy, but because her spirit was born to overcome. She keeps rising until the strength in her becomes history, until her courage becomes memory, until her name becomes a quiet anthem of endurance.